Hello and welcome to the lecture series. Today we are going to discuss about tuberculosis and its management. This topic is related to B Pharmacy 6th semester medicinal chemistry class. So, first of all, let's discuss something about tuberculosis. What is tuberculosis? Basically, it's a disease of lungs where a bacteria known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis is known as the causative agent for this disease. The two species of Mycobacterium bovis and Mycobacterium avium, they are highly infective and mostly responsible for 80% to 90% cases worldwide. Firstly, this bacteria was identified by Robert Koch in 1882, and it was we have found some ancient scriptures like Vedas, Charak Samhita, Shushruta Samhita. It was described as Raj Yakshama. That was in 600 BC. It has second largest kill count after HIV and AIDS. So most of the cases, nearly 60% of the cases of tuberculosis, they are from India, China, South Africa, and Russian Federation. And from those 60% cases, one third are only from India. So it's growing like an endemic in India. Just after we are, as you know, we are second in HIV cases. So this is imparting a great health problem in India. As you know, HIV attacks the immune system. At one stage, Mycobacterium tuberculosis or tuberculosis has been completely eradicated worldwide. But with the emergence of HIV and AIDS, or the patients having immune compromised systems, this disease is again back as a nightmare for them. And the death rate in those patients is very, very high. So, if I talk about tuberculosis, it is basically divided into two types. Pulmonary TB that mainly affect the lungs. The bacteria resides in the lung tissues and grow very slowly there and took a longer period to cause the infection. And most of the cases worldwide, nearly 90% of the cases, they are of pulmonary TB. Then there are some extrapulmonary forms like urogenital TB that is affecting the genital organs. Gastrointestinal tuberculosis, that is another form of pulmonary TB where bacteria migrates from lungs to the gastrointestinal tract. Mainly target the ileum part of the large intestine, and that only 1 to 3% chances are there for the migration. So only minor cases have been reported worldwide. Then neuronal TB, it has 3 to 5% composition. Neuronal TB in which bacteria migrates to the new brain, spinal cord, and your meninges. There they cause the inflammation in the meninges and even damage to the spinal cord. There are another type, lymph node and miliary TB. So these are the basic type of TB. So next, why TB is difficult to treat? TB is a very difficult disease that once it has been eradicated, now it is coming back. Why? There are mainly 5 reasons I have listed. First, the bacteria is very slow dividing. It only matures in 1 to 2 days. It took at least 2 days to get matured and then divide. And one more thing, this bacteria can reside for a longer period without any dividation. It can remain for a longer period of time in the human lungs or the organs without any division. It grows very slowly. So these type of bacteria which are non-dividing, they are called persisters, which can cause infection at any time without the knowledge of the infected person. Then the formation of fibrosis or fibroid mass that damage the blood supply to the nearby tissues. The drug by which the drug penetration is very low in those areas. When the drug didn't penetrate in those areas, it becomes very difficult to treat these kind of infections. Third, the bacteria is still viable even it is digested by the macrophages. It can regrow even in the macrophages. Next, it has a very longer incubation period. Longer incubation period means minimum 8 weeks it took from initial infection to show its true colors. Like it almost take 2 to 8 weeks initially to show the infection. And after that, we can do a test. We can either go for sputum test, tuberculin test, and many other X-ray examinations. For that, you at least require 8 weeks to confirm whether it is mycobacterium infection or a normal common cold infection. Fine. Then the emergence of drug-resistant strains. In the rapidly changing world, bacteria are rapidly changing. They are becoming resistant to the available drugs. So the bacterial strain that are either multi-drug resistant MDR or extreme drug resistant tuberculosis. The cases are on ever rise throughout the world. MDR means the bacteria is either resistant to isoniazid or rifampicin. XDR means that is resistant to isoniazid and rifampicin both. So in that, next what we discuss about the diagnosis of TB. How to diagnose the TB? So first there is TB skin test. In this test, what we do, we inject a small amount of tuberculi into the deltoid muscles and observe the patient for at least 42 to 72 hours for inflammation, redness, and any other changes in the skin. And if those changes matches with the normal tuberculosis test, then it is a tuberculin infection. Next, you can do the blood test, that is interferon gamma release assay. This is, you can say this is more appropriate. In this small amount of his blood is withdrawn and tested with the specific antigens for the tuberculin confirmation. And for confirmation, the most commonly chest X-rays, a patch in the X-ray on the lungs can be easily identified by the doctors, physicians, and even by the common persons as TB. Then you can go for the sputum examination, most common to identify the what bacilli, what kind of bacilli it is, either it is resistant or non-resistant. Montex test is again very much popular test for confirming the bacteria type. And finally, in the changing world, RT-PCR, reverse polymerase chain reactions. They can identify the genomic sequence and match with the already reported literature to confirm whether this infection is of Mycobacterium tuberculosis or not. So, from the next point, we are targeting the drug treatment. How to treat the tuberculosis infection. So, there are these anti-TB drugs, they are classified into basically 3 classes by all the authors and WHO itself. So we have first line drugs. In the first line drug, we have 2 categories of drug. One is tuberocidal that kills the bacteria. In this, we have INH or isoniazid, isonicotinic hydrazide, rifampin, a very good and very active anti-tubercular antibiotic. Then we have pyrazinamide. In the static class, we have ethambutol. Then if these drugs fails to respond, or the patient doesn't respond to either of these drugs or one of the or many of those drugs, we can switch or we can combine the first line drugs with the second line drugs. In second line drugs, we can have tuberculosidal drugs, streptomycin. Initially, it was considered as the best antibiotic for tuberculosis treatment. It was isolated in 1944 and the first antibiotic that shows a tuberculosidal effect and very successful at that time. But with the rapid emergence and intolerability of streptomycin in many patients led it to included in the after phases, not in the primary phase of treatment. Then we have kanamycin, amikacin, again aminoglycoside antibiotics. We also have fluoroquinolones like moxifloxacin, levofloxacin. These are most commonly included in the anti-TB regimes. Then for tuberostatic drugs, we have cycloserine, para-aminosalicylic acid, thioacetazone. Fine. And in third line, if all these drugs or patient doesn't respond to this class also, we will go to third class of treatment. In that, we have clarithromycin, that is tetracycline, clofazimine, that is a very effective anti-leprotic drug, but included in some anti-TB regimes. Then we have linezolide. And with the rapid emergence of XDR TB cases, the research goes on. Now we have 3 newer drugs that are specially designed for treatment of XDR TB, that is bedaquiline, delaminide, and protamide. Next, we have structures of some of the important anti-tubercular drugs. In that, we have isoniazid, generally represented as H. Then we have pyrazinamide, generally represented as Z. Ethidomide, second line drug. Ethambutol, represented as E. R stands for rifampin and S for streptomycin. Then we have second line drugs, para-aminosalicylic acid, cycloserine, and this is now bedaquiline, and well-known antibiotic linezolide. So let's discuss some about mainstream drugs. What are those drugs? What is their oral absorptions, distribution, disposal, action, persistence, action on persisters, CSF penetration, and some of their CDS. I have compiled this in a table. Like we start with the isoniazid, that is represented as H. It has very good oral absorption, that is up to 90%, and a wider distribution between the body cells and fluids. Then it is primarily metabolized and excreted through the hepatic metabolism. It has tuberocidal action. It has no action on persisters. It means this drug cannot affect the bacteria which are not dividing. CSF penetration is good, and serious side effects, it shows some effects in the neuro and hepatic regions. Then we have rifampicin, one of the best known antibiotic for tuberculosis after the streptomycin. It has 90% oral absorption, very wide distribution. Disposal is again by hepatic metabolism. It has tuberocidal action. Action on persisters, yes, this is one of the best effective drug to kill those bacteria which are not dividing. Then it has very good CNS penetration, so it can be used. It is one of the drug of choice for tubercular meningitis. Hepatic and immune system dysfunctioning is the major serious ADR associated with rifampicin. Then we have streptomycin, best antibiotic or the first antibiotic that has been discovered for the treatment of tuberculosis. It has very negligible absorptions, lesser distribution within the body fluids and tissues, metabolized by renal methods, action is sidal, no action on the persisters, CSF penetration is very poor, major side effect, nephrotoxicity and ototoxicity. Then we have pyrazinamide, comparably to streptomycin, it has good absorptions, wider distribution of into the body fluids and CSF, disposed by hepatic metabolism. Then action is again tuberocidal, persisters, no action. CSF penetration is excellent, marvelous. It is one of the drug that is combinedly used with rifampicin for treating tubercular meningitis. And serious ADRs is on hepatic system. Then we have ethambutol. It has again excellent oral absorption. It has wider distribution, but it doesn't penetrate the cerebrospinal fluid. Renal metabolism is there. Static drug. This is the one of the mostly used tuberostatic drug for treating tuberculosis or pulmonary tuberculosis. It has no action on persisters. CSF penetration is fair, and serious side effects are on the ocular system. Fine. Next, the Indian government has revised the National TB Eradication Program. That was in around year 2012. So in that they have described the patients in two categories. First, new patients means they are freshly diagnosed with the disease or the infection, or they have treated with anti-tubercular therapy for less than a month. For their intensive care, first 2 months, isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide and ethambutol are the drug of choice. For the maintenance therapy for the next 4 months, isoniazid, rifampicin and ethambutol. These are the drug of choice. Next, the patients who were previously treated for less than a month, mean either in these category we have recurrent patients in which the infection is coming after full treatment, back, treatment failure or unexpected outcomes, resistant strains. For that we have, for first 2 months we merge isoniazid, rifampin, pyrazinamide, ethambutol and streptomycin for first 2 months, followed by 1 month therapy with isoniazid, rifampin, pyrazinamide and ethambutol. And for maintenance therapy we have isoniazid, rifampin and ethambutol for 5 months. For treating multi-drug resistant TB, that is either a patient is resistant to isoniazid or rifampicin. For that, for initial 6 to 8 months, we use kanamycin, levofloxacin, ethinomide, pyrazinamide and ethambutol for first to 6 to 8 months. Then for maintenance therapy, levofloxacin, ethinomide, ethambutol and cycloserine are used. Then for extreme drug resistant cases, that are both resistant to isoniazid and rifampicin, initial phase contain 8 drugs for 6 to 12 months that include capreomycin, paraminosalicic acid, moxifloxacin, high doses of isoniazid, clofazimine, linezolide, amoxicillin and clavulanic acid. Then for maintenance therapy for next 18 months, we can use paraminosalicic acid, moxifloxacin, high doses of isoniazid, clofazimine, linezolide, amoxicillin and clavulanic acid for next 18 months. But in the newer regimes for XDR TB, we have, this is an emerging regime, bedaquiline along with protonamide, linezolide and moxifloxacin has been given for only 6 months. The treatment has been reduced to 2 to 3 years to only 6 months with 89% success rate. So that's all about the tuberculosis and its treatment. Thank you.